Hello, Bianca, Desiree, Shanika, Kristen, Keisha, Victoria, Ruth, Natalie, Nancy, Diane, Brandy, Nicole, Yvette, Lisa, Joe, and Karen. Thank you all for an excellent first week of class. Really appreciated all of the activity in the discussion forum. A lot of great information about the projects that you all have been involved in. Great variety. I mean, just great variety. Victoria and Diane talked about projects at the insurance companies where they work, implementation of databases, the importance of both of them emphasize the importance of communication, and not just that people communicate with one another, but that your computer programs be able to and databases be able to communicate with one another. Crucial in a lot of these projects that we're managing. Yvette also had some comments about the importance of communication and getting communication from the right people. So if you don't actually get input from the people who will be the end users, things might not turn out so well. Somebody might have an idea about how something might work, but if it doesn't work for the people that actually need to use the product or use the program, it's not going to end well. I also really appreciated all the shared articles. Kristen shared that article about the difference between a project manager and an operations manager. I thought that was a really helpful set of distinctions. And as I pointed out, that article also included some insights about how something translates or transfers from being a project to being part of operations. And I think that's a piece that's also very important for all of us who are going to be involved in or are involved in projects. How do you make that transfer? You've done something, you've created something. A lot of you have done this. You have a new program, you have a new process, you've created it, you've tested it, you've gotten it to the place where it can be used. Now, how does that actually get transferred into the operations of the organization? That's a key piece. Keisha and Kristen working on getting the certified associate in project management credential. That's awesome. If there's any way that I could be helpful with that as you're going through the PMBOK, the project management body of knowledge, or working on studying, if there's any way that I could be helpful, please reach out to me. I would be happy to engage in some conversation. And again, just grateful for all these different kinds of projects. Ruth talked about her philanthropic project, the book collection. That's a project. It's different from the things that I was just talking about that Victoria and Diane and Yvette were doing in their places of business, but it's still a project. It still involves the organization, the communication, the planning, the extensive planning. Natalie talked about her friends and family sales event project. And I just want to lift up one more time that it's so great, Natalie, that you emphasized celebrating wins with the stores with whom you were working. That's celebrating wins is an often neglected piece of being a good manager, whether it's a project manager or an operations manager, but especially in projects as we have clear-cut goals to achieve, and there's a process, there are certain steps. When we celebrate those intermediate wins, that just encourages everybody and empowers people to work even better and work even harder. Nicole talked about project management in the public sector and how that's different from project management in the private sector or in the philanthropic sector. Great stuff. More challenges, more constraints makes it even more important to have a clear plan and to very, very carefully monitor and control things as the project is executed so that it can be done on budget and on time. Congratulations to Bianca and Keisha, who are both starting their own businesses. That's a great thing. And as you both pointed out, the project management can be helpful for launching something, because a business launch is in a lot of ways a project. It has if you're launching, you have a beginning, you have an end, you have a particular product or service that you're going to put out there into the world. So again, I look forward to hearing more about what the two of you are doing. Thanks too to everyone for your good work on the quiz. I just wanted to lift up a couple of things in the quiz. One is in scope. All of you had a great definition of scope, the purpose of the project, what's needed to accomplish the project. What are the boundaries of the project. One thing that you could also add is what's not part of the project. What are some things that someone might think could be part of the project, but you don't want them to be part of the project? You want to make it clear from the beginning that some things are excluded. And the example that I put in my comments was for our Global Green Books project. It's possible to imagine that one of these professors would like a hard copy of their book, that they would like to be able to put it on their desk or on their shelf. And so from the very beginning, we might want to say, no, that's not what we do. That's not what our goal is. We're producing ebooks, and doing an actual hard copy print run is not something that's going to be part of the project. So that from the very beginning, it's excluded and it's very clear. And that makes it a whole lot easier to say no when somebody asks for that to happen. Also, in listing the different processes of project management, what's typically fourth on the list, monitoring and controlling. I just wanted to lift up that monitoring and controlling is a very helpful way to label that, because it makes it clear that there's both a passive aspect to it and a more active aspect to it. So you can think of monitoring as keeping an eye on things. We're keeping an eye on the budget. We're keeping an eye on the schedule. We're keeping an eye to make sure that we will be able to finish the project on budget and on time, looking at, monitoring risks, keeping an eye out on things. But then there's also controlling. So that's when you move into the active phase and you say, oh, we're going over budget here. What do we need to do to rein that in? Or do we need to ask for more money or ask for more time in order to make it happen on budget? Or if we're going over schedule, what can we do to address that? Do we have to cut back on the scope? Do we have to ask for more money? Do we need more personnel? So, and there's an active aspect of that process of monitoring and controlling. So it's not just monitoring. It's not just kind of keeping an eye on things to make sure things are going in the right direction, but there's also an active piece where the project manager will make changes, and sometimes very substantive changes in the scope or the schedule or the budget, or asking for more resources. And so just wanted to lift that up and keep that in mind, that is a part of many projects, because unexpected things tend to happen in our world. So I've also posted in another announcement, I posted some additional resources for the case study, and there are some things in those additional resources that will be especially helpful this week as you're looking at writing the project charter and doing the stakeholder analysis. I've given you some of the employees at Global Green Books, some of the people and professors at the university who are the people that will be getting the final product of the project. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And a couple of you have reached out to me by text, and that's great. I appreciate when you have an urgent question, if you just go ahead and send me a text message or give me a call. Of course, email or through Canvas. This, as I've said before, this is a course where there might be a need for a little bit more communication between us than usual, because this is mimicking an actual project. And as you all know, one of the keys to successful project management is good communication. So I am open to your questions. If you don't need to contact me, that's fine too. And you're welcome to use your imagination to fill in any of the gaps that you see. Thanks again for all your hard work, and I look forward to our discussions this week. Take care.